Let's move on now to the Detroit Lions in our first round predictor series. But before we do that, Ryan and I, we have a special announcement. We are going live on YouTube on April 27th at 6:45 p.m. Central Standard Time to watch the NFL draft. And we would love for you guys to join us, be a part of the whole experience for us. Leave a comment and ask questions on what we think of the NFL, about the channel, and just provide commentary on if you like the picks or if you don't like the picks. So feel free to join us, totally free. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button. Also ring the bell to get notified when we create new content, and also when we do go live on April 27th. And Ryan, let's get into it with the Detroit Lions. The Lions, very similar to the Seahawks. I think fascinating on what they could potentially do in the draft. They are both in very unique spots. Where they can get talented players on the defensive side of the ball, but in the secondary or on the defensive line. And then with their second pick as well, they can go a lot of different directions. And so let's get into it. I feel like this is going to be a little bit of a longer segment because I think good debate on both. At pick number 6, where do you stand on what you feel the Lions should do?
So I hate to take this place in this potential debate, but I am very convinced that if a top edge rusher is there, i.e. Will Anderson specifically, but even if Jalen Carter makes it to 6, I think that it's a possibility they could go that route and then wait with 18 to either move up or see if one of the top corners fall to them and then take a corner there. They definitely want to address the corner position in the first round. Just because you can see they signed Cam Sutton, they traded Jeff Okudah to the Falcons. I think they definitely want to bolster that cornerback room. If you have one spot on your offense or on your defense that is extremely weak, it is that cornerback spot.
Yeah.
And while I think addressing that at 6 could obviously getting the best one at 6, the drop off, I think, from the top edge rushers to the middle class or middle tier of edge rushers is a much bigger than the drop off from Devon Witherspoon to like Joey Porter Jr. per se. So I think that is one thing that they could do. They also might say, screw you, Ryan. We want Devon Witherspoon, and then they'll draft like a Lucas Van Ness or trying to think of another edge rusher that would be there at 18. But
Miles Murphy, they can maybe go Brian Breesy. They maybe could go, and we'll talk about the 18th pick here in a second, especially because we'll think what they do on the 6th. So I think you make interesting points, and I'll play devil's advocate a little. It's a little devil's advocate, but I'm kind of in the opposite camp, just because actually how I look at it is if Will Anderson and Tyree Wilson are not there, with some of the question marks with Jalen Carter, I think that you can go and actually get the best corner available. Just also on the part, like those 4 corners that we've talked about, Gonzalez, Witherspoon, Porter Jr., and Banks, they might not be there at 18. And then that would be a stretch to the next set of secondary. Yeah. And where I actually would think, but there's going to be Nolan Smith might potentially be there. He might not, but Miles Murphy might be there. Brian Breesy might be there. Lucas Van Ness might be there. You can maybe even stretch and maybe take a Will McDonald that's there. And so there's several other guys. I'm sure there might be even some other people that I'm missing. Kalijah Cansey might be there. That defensive interior as well. And so I think that you can go best corner or top 2. Let's say if Seattle would want to go, but if Seattle goes corner, then most likely Will Anderson or Tyree Wilson are going to be there at 6, and then you go that route. So for me, I think that they're in a very interesting spot because they can kind of see who is available and then pick which route that they want to go. Unlike if you're picking, well, like with the Panthers, be like, we need to hit on this quarterback because we have everything, so to say. But if the Lions, like, well, we couldn't take Tyree Wilson because he wasn't there, so then we went with the best corner. It was the consensus corner, and so or the one that we feel would best fit our system. I think it's a very unique position. I think it is a great position for them to be in because they can they're going to get a great player, I think, no matter what. It's just going to be on which position do they want to go. And if they go corner first, assuming that Wilson and Anderson Jr. are not there, that would mean that Carter would be available and they would be going over him. So then that would be another interesting discussion. I'd be curious to see what Lions fans would say is, do you want the Lions to take Jalen Carter or not, considering everything that has been going on? I think we all can agree on the talent that he has. But for me, the biggest thing for me is just the pro day, and him not finishing his pro day, to me, throws up red flags. But do you want to have Jalen Carter on your team? Because for me, with my that might be some red flags where, but you see Christian Gonzalez in his combine, you look at his stats, or even Devin Witherspoon. Jeff Okudah played a little bit more, correct me if I'm wrong, but at least right now in the Falcons, he's slotted as the nickel corner, I believe. I need to go double check that. Devin Witherspoon is a little bit smaller. He might kick inside to nickel corner anyways to cover those slot receivers, and then you lock him down. So maybe that's a route that they would go if they would want to kick him inside, or he could also play outside as well. So that's where I think it's very interesting with their 6th pick, because then it's going to set them up for what I believe they'll do with the 18th pick. And I'll just continue is because if they go secondary, then I do think there's going to be a slew of defensive linemen that should be available right around that time. Mm-hmm. You know, I've taken Kalijah Cansey a little early in my draft, but the Jets or Eagles or Patriots might not take him there. He might fall a little bit, which wouldn't be hard to do. I could absolutely see it being hard to do.
Yeah.
But with secondary, though, if we're being completely honest, let's say they skip on Christian Gonzalez or a corner at 6. The Falcons could go corner. The Bears could then go corner as well. The Commanders could go corner. And then the Texans could also go corner. Pitt's probably going to go corner, depending on if they really like Darnell Wright or some of the other tackles that potentially could be there. So it is possible that it'll be a run on corners, and then if the Lions might not be able to take anyone in the secondary until the second round, which is going to be a big drop off, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, there's definitely a drop off after those 4. I feel like I'm missing one, but I can't think of it because I have Witherspoon, Gonzalez, Banks, and Joey Porter Jr.
Well, Brian Branch as well.
Yeah, Brian Branch.
And so,
So I agree. I think they probably go corner at 6. But if like Gonzalez or Witherspoon gets taken ahead of where they go, I think it's very possible that they go edge and then take 18, maybe package it with, I think, do they have 2 seconds this year? I think they do. But maybe package it with one of those seconds and move up ahead of the Patriots, where you kind of have that second wave of teams that are going to be looking for corner, and maybe grab one of those guys there. So,
yeah, maybe. 1 second here. Let me see.
I'm pretty sure they have 2 seconds, but no. And then at 18, I really could see them going a wide variety of
yes, ways. They do.
They do. They have 2 seconds.
Okay. Yeah, 48 and 55.
Okay. I could really see them going a wide variety of ways. I think edge rusher would be nice. Defensive interior also would be nice. But also at 18, I have mentioned this before in some of our videos, but I think one of the things that they still somewhat lack on offense is like a true like X wide receiver. And if Quentin Johnston is there, could you imagine that offensive attack with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, and then Quentin Johnston? It would just be yak for days. And I know it might be a little redundant, but they have 2 first-round picks, and I think that would be interesting. Another one would be tight end, address the tight end position as well.
So that's what I was going to say. I don't mind them going skill position player at the 2nd pick, and I wouldn't hate them going Quentin Johnston, but I think the tight end, like this tight end class, is one of the better ones overall that we've seen. So then it's possible that no tight end has been taken up by this point. They can get the best tight end. Michael Mayer, Dalton Kincaid, I think would both fit great system for different reasons. I think Michael Mayer would be a huge red zone guy, or honestly, if they'd want to reach on like a Darnell Washington, not reach, but might be a little early for Darnell Washington, just considering all the value. Yeah. But I could see them going that route as well if they were not wanting to go opposite on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah. And by opposite, I mean like edge, then secondary, or then corner, and then edge or defensive line, like how I spoke about earlier. I would prefer they want a skill position player, I think tight end, because right now Brock Wright is their starting tight end, and he was serviceable second half of the season after they traded TJ Hawkinson, but it could be a huge upgrade to that entire offense. And one of the things I do also like about Michael Mayer specifically is, I joke, like, if we all the 3-down running back, I feel like he's like a 3-down tight end where he can go out and run the routes, but also he can line up right next to your tackles. And then now you have a six blocker. You have David Montgomery now back there, who I think is a much better overall running back improvement compared to what they had, who I think can kind of be someone of that bell cow. Like he might not be able to take as many reps as like a younger running back, but then having that extra block opens up play. And that's where you're talking about speed and yards after the catch. You got Jameson Williams just running sprints up and down the field. Like that to me is what I imagine. It would get me excited if I was a true Detroit Lions fan. And so if they went, that's just the route I think that they should go if they went offensive.
Yeah, no, I agree. I really just wanted to make the point that I think they could go skill position there. The one thing with Quentin Johnston that I really like about Detroit, and then we'll wrap up after this, but he does have the flexibility to come in and not immediately be thrust into a wide receiver 1 position where he can come in, he can run a really simple route tree and then develop kind of behind the scenes. And then in year 2 and 3 and 4, you can really start to use his size and frame and after the catch ability, because you have done the work behind the scenes and you haven't really thrusted him into the spotlight quite yet. So I do like that fit. And then I think if you can mold him for a year, maybe a year and a half, you will be getting a much more dangerous weapon across from Jameson Williams and with Amon-Ra St. Brown in the middle. So that is one of the things that I like about the Quentin Johnston pick. Yeah. I also really like Michael Mayer there as well. So
no, it's going to be very interesting on what the Lions do in this draft.
Yeah,
it'll be fun.
No, yeah, definitely. But let's go ahead. Let's wrap it up there. Let us know down in the comments what you want to see the Detroit Lions do at pick 6 and pick 18. But before you do that, go ahead, smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, and hit that bell so you can get notified when time I create new content. We are going live for the draft on April 27th, so we will see you guys then.